Welcome back to Design of Substructure classes. We were discussing module 3, that is a mat foundation. In that mat foundation, in previous classes we discussed introduction, we discussed types of raft foundation, and even we discussed bearing capacity of raft foundation general formula. That we discussed bearing capacity of raft foundation on cohesive soils and cohesionless soils. Now raft settlement. Okay na? Raft settlement, just I will introduce here. In UG also you have studied the settlement chapter. We will be three types of settlement: immediate settlement or elastic settlement we call, and second one is the second primary consolidation settlement, and the third one is a secondary consolidation settlement. All those equations and all those properties whatever we are using, the same thing we use here only, here also, but the allowable settlement which will that IS code guidelines will be there. By that we will just compare that one. Here very important parameter what we consider is, we should, in any case we should avoid differential settlement. This take care we need to this one we need to take care, and after that the raft and settlement is over. I give this as a homework. Please go through your UG textbooks and get a settlement chapter, and little differences, little parameters you need to change, that you study by your own. I will provide the notes on that. Coming to the next chapter, here we discuss these all things. Now we will discuss design of raft. Design of raft, we have two different methods. That is a rigid beam method, we will call it as a conventional rigid beam method, and elastic half space method, or we will call it as a elastic method, or spring method, spring analogy method, or Winkler's method. Okay, many names are there. And after that we will discuss modulus of subgrade reaction, and what is this modulus of subgrade reaction, and what is the part of this modulus of subgrade reaction in mat foundation design. That also we will discuss it. And after that, in next class or coming classes, I will discuss 2 or 3 numerical problems. Coming to the structural design of mat foundation. In this structural design of mat foundation, structural design means what? RCC design, bending moment or shear force. Okay, these are all things we need to consider and we need to design. Okay, na? Now the structural design of mat foundation can be carried out by two conventional methods. I already explained the conventional rigid method and rigid beam method, and the approximate flexible method. This approximate flexible method or elastic method or spring method or Winkler method, all are same. Finite difference and finite element method can also be used, but this section covers only basic concepts of first two design methods. Understood? Means mat foundation nowadays through softwares many people are doing. They use the softwares, they apply some loads, and after that they design a mat foundation. Depth of the mat, steel in the mat, or shear force, bending, everything they will do by software. Then those softwares works under the principle of finite difference or finite element method, FEM. Okay, na? But this finite difference and finite element method, this we are not discussing in detail. Okay, this will, that geotechnical MTech, those who are doing MTech in geotechnical, they definitely discuss on these concepts, but we will discuss only the conventional or first two methods of design, that is your conventional rigid beam method and that approximate flexible method. Conventional rigid beam method. Now let us consider this diagram. Here I cannot draw part by part of this diagram. In classroom what happens, first I draw columns and after that I join some lines, and you will come to know how it is proceeded. But here the entire diagram, only one diagram it has drawn, and it here I have kept. Therefore you have to follow my mouse pointer here, so that you will definitely understand that one. In conventional rigid beam, see, let us consider one area here. The breadth and depth, how to fix these two, that you already know. Allowable bearing capacity we know. By knowing the allowable bearing capacity and the total load column, and that I will explain here also. Then you need to decide a breadth. Let us consider the center to center distance between the columns are known to us. Okay, and the arrangement of rows and columns that is made here. And now the conventional rigid beam method of mat foundation design can be explained step by step with reference to this figure. Okay, and here I have considered one point here, and this is the center point of the mat. This is the CG of the entire area, and this is the CG of the loads acting. Okay, I considered here to explain this conventional rigid beam method, I consider somewhat a difficult problem because eccentric loaded from mat foundation I am considered. Okay, for a concentric load foundation, you can consider Ex equal to 0, Ey equal to 0. Then wherever that comes in design procedure, you put Ex and Ey equal to 0, then you will get a concentrated load mat foundation. Okay. Now the first step what we do here in this design is figure shows mat dimensions, that is a L and B, and a columns loads Q1, Q2, Q3. You can see Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5 like that. Q12 are there, 12 columns are there, all 12 columns are there. Calculate the total load as, total load how to calculate? Add all the columns here, Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q12. Okay, you add all the Q's, then you will get a total load. In second step, what you do, determine the pressure on the soil Q below the mat at points A, B, C, D by using a equation. Then applied soil pressure. Before this one, you go to your previous module and design of foundation, shallow foundations. The same design of compound foundation or spread footings. Same concepts will be there, somewhat a little change will be there. Here also, that after getting the total load, we will calculate the area. Here we cannot calculate the area and fix it. But why? Because the center to center line will be known to us. Therefore, L and B we will calculate and get it here, and we'll cross check whether the available area will satisfy our load area under load criteria or not. That we will just cross check it. We will not decide our area based on the applied loads. Second step says that determine the pressure on the soil, that is upward soil pressure. Upward soil pressure we need to calculate by using this equation. As I said that here eccentricity is there. The CG of the entire loads is acting here with eccentricity in x direction, eccentricity in y direction. Therefore, I got Q formula capital Q by A. Capital Q means this one, and my by x, myx by iy, mxy by ix. Here, if this point load is acting here, means the concentrated all column loads are equal, and it is a concentrated mat foundation, then this term and this term will be 0. This, however, you will calculate the upper soil pressure, this Q. Okay, now here the meanings just it is listed here. A means area, that is a B into L. Ix means moment of inertia about xx, that is your BL cube by 12, and Iyy LB cube by 12, moment of inertia about xx and yy you got, and mx is a moment of column about column loads about xx, that is q into ey. You already know q value here, and ey if you multiply you will get mx, and q into ex if you multiply then you will get my. That you substitute here and you will get a upward soil pressure. Okay. In next step you will get a CG of the load, concentrated load, where exactly that load is acting here. Okay, exactly that you will get it here. X bar you can get it Q1 x1 bar, Q2 x2 bar. You see here x1 bar axis is here and y bar axis is here, means this Q1 x1 bar means the Q1 will be here and x1 is this one, Q2 will be here and x2 bar is this one, Q3 is here, x3 bar is this, Q4 is here, x4 bar is this one. Like that you substitute for all and divided by Q you will get x bar. Like that y bar, this is y1 bar, this is y2 bar, then this is y3 bar, like that you will get here. Then compare the value of soil pressure determined in step 2, that is a Q, small q, with the net allowable bearing pressure to determine whether Q is greater than Q allowable or not. That you need to get it. If this satisfies, then it is okay. Okay. If not, if this is not satisfied, then what? There are many possibilities. You need to increase the area. If your property line is this much only, if you cannot increase the area, then ask your owner to reduce the load from the superstructure. Ask him to reduce somewhat number of stories or loads, dead load, live load, that one, this one. You can ask them. Or if your owner is not ready to reduce his superstructure load, then increase the allowable soil pressure by doing some mechanical stabilization or replacing the soil or going for pile foundation, whatever that. Okay, you increase that one. Divide the mat into several strips x, y and x and y direction. See the figure. Let the width of any strip be b1. See the entire this area we need to divide into number of strips. The strips you need to observe it very carefully. This line and this line, don't confuse with this one. These two lines are just to show the centers. This means what I want to say is this is not a strip. This is not a strip. The strip always will consider one column. See, this is a column. This is one strip. This is one strip, right? Then this is another strip. Then this is another strip. This is another strip. Coming to this one, then this is not one strip. See, this is not a strip, but strip is here. This is a strip. Okay, now this is a strip. Then this is a strip. This is a strip. This is a strip. Then what about for this column? For this column, this is a strip. This is a strip. Okay, now for this column, this is a strip. Okay, now for this column, this is a strip. Understood? Okay. Then all the widths of the strips will be b1, 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 b1. b1, b1. Like that you need to divide into number of strips. Draw the shear force V and moment M diagrams, bending moment and shear force diagram for each individual strips in x and y direction. For example, the average soil pressure of the bottom strip in x direction. In the figure, we will consider this. Now, whatever the Q you calculated, this QR in the previous problem, previous slide, we calculated Q value. That Q value is upward soil pressure for the entire area. But when you divided this beam into this total slab into number of strips, then your upward soil pressure will be something different. That something different will be Q average equal to Qi plus Qf divided by 2. What is Qi? Here this is the ith column and this is the fth column, and this load and this load divided by 2. Okay, that you will be getting Qi plus Qf by 2, then you will get Q average. Okay, that Q average you will get it. Where Qi and Qf are soil pressure point at points I and F as determined in step 2. Okay, here in step 2 that you have determined and that you are going to write here. Then after that, for a particular strip, here you can see this Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, here X bar is there, no? X dash. This one I draw it like this. Here you will get upward soil pressure and Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Don't worry about this F here now, F Q1, F Q2. Just you think that Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 are there here. I, H, C, F positions are there here. Okay. The total soil reaction is equal to QA B1 B. What is this QA? QA is Q average calculated previously, and B1 into B. B1 is perpendicular to the board and B is this one. Perpendicular to this your mobile, that is your B1. Then this B is this one. Means for a particular B into B1, that we have multiplied area to average, then we will get a total soil reaction is equal to this much. Now obtain the local column total column load on the strips as q1 plus q2 plus q3 plus q4. Total column load is how much? This much. The sum of the column loads on the strip will not be equal to q1 b1 b. Very important. This whatever you are getting here, q average into b1b, q average into b1b, that you will get a load in kilonewton, and add all q1 q2 q3 q4, then again you will get in kilonewton. But these two will not be equal, they are saying. Why they are not equal? Because in previous calculation what you did, you considered qi and qf and average you considered qi and qf only, this and this only you considered and made a average, but you didn't consider all column loads and make a average. Okay na? Therefore they said that don't get excited by seeing this in comparative. That is a now obtain this one. The sum of the column loads on the strip will not be equal to qa b1b, because the shear between the adjacent strip has not been taken into account. One more very important, when you are talking about this strip, then this is connected to this strip also, no? Means there will be some shear force, because the rubbing action between this strip and this strip, that shear force also comes in into effect, but that you are ignoring when you are considered one strip. Therefore they say that the load qa b1b and q1 plus q2 plus q3 plus q4 may not be equal to each other. Okay na? Then coming to q average load. What is q average load? Coming to q average, that is average load. Then what is this average load? This average load is an accurate average load. Okay, what is that accurate? q1 q2 q3 q4 all column loads, and the load which is acting, means which you considered by considering the average, that qa b1b, and this one plus this one divided by 2. This considered it as an entire one parameter, and this is one parameter divided by 2, you will get an average load acting on the footing. Now the modified average soil reaction becomes, now what happens? The soil reaction differs now. That modified soil reaction will be deferred, and that deferred we are considered, that is a modified one, we will consider it by some linear arrangements, linear variation arrangement, that is q average modified will be equal to q average earlier into average load, this load divided by q average into b1b, that we will substitute here and we will get q average modified. Then after getting this q average modified, we will get a column load modification factor, that is f value. F value says that average load divided by, average load is this one divided by q1 q2 q3 q4 sum. Okay, then you will get a modified f value. This modified factor is there, that modified factor is multiplied to all columns again, that becomes your fq1 fq2 fq3 fq4. Okay, now these become f's. Now by considering these fq's and this soil bearing pressure, both will be matched each other. Means by doing this, what actually we did is, the influence of this strip on this strip is avoided by considering modified column load factor. Okay na? That we avoided. Now whatever you are getting accurately, these fq1 fq2 fq3 fq4 loads and your upward average pressure, modified average pressure, both are correct, both are correct now. Then you can go ahead with your bending moment and shear force. One more point is here, so the modified column loads, that is only fq1 fq2 fq3 fq4, this modified loading on the strip under consideration is shown in the figure. The shear and bending moment diagram for this strip can now be drawn. This procedure is repeated for all strips in x and y direction. Okay, same problem whatever it is mentioned now, the same problem I will solve in the next video. Okay, there after solving that video, after seeing that video, you come back again to this video and see the maja. Okay, you will get it. From the moment diagram of all strips in one direction x and y, obtain the maximum positive and negative moments per width. The same way you will get one strip, and that strip looks like a beam of width b1, then you will get a moment wl square by 2, or continuous beam you can consider and determine the bending moment. And there you will get a negative moment and positive moment. You will get a maximum of positive and negative moment you take. Determine the depth by considering IS 456 depth you determine, and after depth you check again shear criteria and increase the depth, determine steel, and provide the steel based on that hogging and sagging areas. You provide the steel. That we will discuss in the next video. Determine the area of the steel per unit width of the for positive and negative movement in x and y direction. Our design is completed. Understood? Now coming to approximate flexible method. This is a second method. That is one method, and this is a second method. In the conventional rigid method of design, the mat is assumed to be infinitely rigid. Have you considered any undulation or any deflection of the mat in the previous method? No, we didn't consider. We thought that the mat foundation, what we provide, that mat or a beams or a plate, whatever that is there, that is infinitely rigid. That's why we considered it acts like a bridge over compressible soils or compressible lenses. Why this acts as a bridge? Because we assumed that mat that concrete density is more compared to soil density, therefore it acts like a rigid body. Okay? But actually speaking, it's not that hard, because concrete density is what? Concrete density is what? 25 kilonewton per meter cube. Then soil density is what? 18. If you go deeper and deeper, you may get 20 kilonewton per meter cube, 22 kilonewton per meter cube. They are somewhat near to each other, but still you can approximately assume it as a rigid and go ahead, you will be in safe. And the second method is approximate flexible method. Also in previous method, also the soil pressure is distributed in straight line. Uniform soil pressure we considered. And the centroid of the soil pressure is coincidental with the line of action of the resultant column loads. This also we considered. The CG of the column and CG of the column loads and CG of the area match to each other, coincidental. Then in approximate flexible method, in this method of design, the soil is assumed to be equivalent to infinite number of elastic springs as shown in the figure. That next figure is there, I will show it. Okay, I will now only show. See here, the below whatever that soil is there here, that soil is considered as the number of springs. Okay, because that is a compressible, no, soil is always compressible, therefore number of springs are kept below the foundation. That is assumed. And the fourth point, it says that it is sometimes referred to as Winkler's method. Okay, this method is also called as Winkler's method. The elastic constant of these assumed springs is referred to as a coefficient of subgrade reaction. Understood? In syllabus they have mentioned the students are expected to study subgrade reaction also, but why they are expected to read subgrade reaction in this mat foundation? When I was a student, first thing when we see a syllabus, we will ask this question. Why? Because subgrade soil reaction is there, no, subgrade reaction K. This comes in pavement design. Whenever you design a pavement, there is soil subgrade reaction you do. You will take similar to your plate load test, load and displacement, that test you do, and after that you get a subgrade reaction K. But why that parameter is considered here? Because here in Winkler's method or in approximate flexible method, here the soil is assumed as a spring. Then spring must have some coefficient, no, that coefficient, stiffness coefficient, spring constant. That spring constant is assumed as a subgrade reaction, because spring constant, the stiffness of the spring is its unit is also Newton per meter, and subgrade reaction unit is also Newton per meter. Both are somewhat same, therefore we consider subgrade reaction. Okay, this is what your diagram. Here you can consider it as a rigid beam, rigid mat on the earlier method. Okay, here you can get a load variation is what in a straight line. Load variation is straight line. Either it might be a uniformly varying, but straight variation, linear variation. But here this is a flexible, and soil acts as a spring. Therefore, you have a somewhat irregular shape of bend, elastic bend. Okay, and here the point load is acting. This one discussed later. To understand the fundamental concepts behind flexible design, foundation design, consider a beam of width B1. This is a beam, and consider width of the beam is B1 and height of the beam is H. Having an infinite length is how much? Infinite length is there as shown in the figure. The beam is subjected to a single concentrated load. Consider one beam is subjected to single concentrated load from the fundamentals of mechanics of material. If this is the case, and here some voids are there here, and it acts like a beam and so load here and support here, from the fundamentals of strength of material or mechanics or SA, you can get a moment equal to what? EI into d square z by dx square. What is this d square by z by dx square? It is nothing but d square y by dx square. Y is a deflection, but here in this diagram they consider vertical axis as a z, therefore they consider d square z by dx square. This is somewhat Maclaurin's equation, no? M equal to EI into d square by dz square. So M by EI equal to d square y by dx square. Okay, then here you can say dm by dx, the differentiation rate of change of moment is called a shear force. That is your shear force. Means if you get this one, just differentiate, you will get a shear force diagram. Then again differentiate this one, you will get a load diagram. Okay, or reverse also you can go, integrate this one, you will get shear force, integrate this one, you will get bending moment. Then now d square m by dx square becomes what? Q. Why? V, in the place of V you substitute dm by dx, you will get d square m by dx square, you will get Q, means Q equal to this one. By using these two equations I wrote this one. Then in this equation EI d square z by dx square is there. Q, sorry, here m is there, no? M means this entire thing. The entire thing I will substitute in the place of m. EI is constant which come outside. Then you will get a d power 4 by z by dx power 4 equal to Q. You got it. Means what? This Q, the load which is applied, is represented in terms of deflection only. Okay, it is a direct relation with the deflection. This is one part. The other part is the soil reaction, that Q equal to minus Z into K dash. Minus indicates a downward going and K dash is your K into B1. K into B1 is coefficient of subgrade reaction that we are considering. Okay, Z is a deflection. This is a soil reaction. This equation E1 we will use in a pavement design also. That equation I considered here, Q equal to minus Z into K dash, where Z is a deflection, K dash is a K into B1, B1 is a width of the beam, then K is a coefficient of subgrade reaction by substituting this one. Now I can equate these two methods here. This is a subgrade reaction concept and this is a strength of material concept, and equating these two I will get a EI d square z dx square d power 4 z by dx power 4 equal to minus zk b1. Okay, then solution. See, this is a higher order differential equation. Higher order differential equation will go to M2 I think. Yes, M2, mathematics 2 in UG. There we go, we know differential equations. Exact method, homogeneous method, reducible to homogeneous method, reducible to exact method, linear method, reducible to linear method, one order differential equation, multi-order differential equation. Okay, those things if you go, you will come to know this is a fourth order differential equation. For that, solution will be in this form. Okay, in this form. You just work out, it is very easy actually. If you go and open your M2 book, you will get this equation very easily. Then here A1 and A dash and A double dash is constant, and beta will be somewhat a constant, that empirical constant, that is equal to fourth root of b1 bk by 4e into I. E is a Young's modulus and I is a moment of inertia. This beta becomes very important parameter. Look at here. The unit of the term b as defined by the preceding equation is per length or length inverse. Okay, na? The unit of beta. This parameter is very important in determining whether a mat foundation should be designed by conventional method or approximate flexible method. Now we have two methods. Which method is good or which method I should adopt? To decide that one, we should have to calculate beta, and after calculating beta we can decide whether to go by conventional method or by approximate method. According to the American Concrete Institute Committee, and in India also we will consider somewhat similar to this only, mat should be designed by conventional rigid method if the spacing of the column in a strip is less than 1.75 by beta. You already know in conventional beam method we got one strip, we divided the entire area into strip, and in the strip the spacing between the columns we need to observe, and the spacing between the columns and 1.75 by beta, that we need to compare. If the spacing between the column in a strip is less than 1.75 by beta, then you can go by conventional rigid beam method, or otherwise you go by elastic half space method or Winkler's method or approximate method or spring method. If the spacing of the column is larger than this one, then the approximate flexible method may be used. Understood? In the next video we will discuss what do you mean by modulus of subgrade reaction, how it is calculated, how it will affect, and after calculating subgrade modulus subgrade reaction, we will go how we need to design this Winkler's method. Till now we didn't discuss anything about Winkler's method. Okay, na? Just go back. Don't get gabri. See here, approximate flexible method I said, and I just compared with the conventional method and approximate flexible method, and here I explained just principle behind the approximate method, this flexible method, and after in that, while explaining this principle, I got this strength of material and pavement design, both I equated and I got one conclusion. In that conclusion I got beta, and in that beta I got whether to go by approximate method or conventional method. This decision I made, but in this decision I want what K here, that is a subgrade reaction. Without knowing this K we cannot go ahead. Just I got decided that whether I have to go for flexible method or conventional method, rigid method. That only I got it. Now we will discuss in next video modulus of subgrade reaction, and after that we will get a beta, and we will compare whether to go by rigid or flexible, and after that if we go by flexible method, then how to decide, how to design, that we will do in the next video. Okay, thank you.